We are in some sort of corn sugar emporium to use it at one point. 17th century Murano glass chandelier.
We are a little delirious.
You are very cringy.
Oh, that's nice. Ty's already out. Just woke up, missed breakfast, missed checkout.
Morning.
About to check out and hit the rooftop pool. Ready for day 2.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh. Rolling.
Yeah, I fixed the hair. Shout out Chris Hogan. Don't look like a thumb with a toupee on top.
Ready for day 3. We're here in Split, Croatia. My first impression of Croatia is that everyone looks like a model. I like this town because it's giving me beach vibes, but also Europe vibes, which I feel like is rare. If I could show you the hot people without getting punched in the face, I totally would. So we just got back on the boat from Split, Croatia, and it was so beautiful. I'm just gonna give you guys a quick update of where we've been / what we've done so far. Here's my view right now. We took a flight from DC to Philly, and then we took the red eye from Philly to Venice. So our flight left at like 5 p.m. East Coast time, and then we arrived at like 9:30 Venice time the next morning. So we all took like a nap on the plane. Where's the camera? But other than that nap, like we basically went nonstop for like almost 48 hours. But anyway, we got into Venice and took a water taxi, and we thought the water taxi was just gonna go like around the island just straight to our hotel, because our hotel was kind of on the outskirts of the city. But instead, homeboy hooked us up with a ride completely through the city, so through the Grand Canal where all the sightseeing was. We were thinking about doing a gondola tour, like one of those long boats, but really expensive. So he ended up taking us through Venice to all of the cool spots, basically took us on a private tour, which was so nice and so cool. So then we got to our hotel, and then we tried to check in, but our room wasn't ready. Then we took another water taxi into San Marco Square, which is like the historic part of Venice. Shit you not, I literally started crying because it just doesn't even look real. Like, we went around shopping a little bit. They have a bunch of glass shops. There's like another smaller island nearby called Murano where they do like custom glass making, and it's like the big thing of this area. So there were a lot of stores that were just glass making stores, which was really cool, and we got like a bunch of little souvenirs there, which was really cool. Then we went to Rialto Bridge, an iconic bridge. It's really old. They have a bunch of restaurants around there. So at this point, we're all getting a little grumpy because we've been at it for like 36 straight hours at this point. So all we wanted to do was find a pizza place, which in Italy should not be that hard to do. But somehow we managed to find a restaurant that is the only restaurant in Venice that doesn't serve pizza. They just serve like these small antipasti dishes. And so we just ended up having a drink there. And then we went to a different restaurant where we got the pizza, and it was really pretty. And then we went back to the hotel, got a quick nap in, went back out for dinner, and found this really cute restaurant that was like overlooking the water on our side of town. The sunset was just insane. Like, just nothing looks real. Like, you're walking around and like the buildings all just look like a setup. The next morning we woke up and just had breakfast at the hotel, got a water taxi to our cruise ship. The boat left around 6. We sailed throughout the night and then woke up this morning in Croatia, a little town called Split. And usually we do a bunch of the excursions that the cruise line sets up themselves. Like, they'll give you a big packet of all of the excursions that the cruise has like deals with, but instead we decided we would just like kind of do our own thing. So we ended up taking a taxi, just us four, to Kliss Fortress, which is actually where they filmed a lot of season 1 of Game of Thrones. We walked around there for a little bit, and we found this super cute restaurant like right by the bay. It was just insane to me, like how attractive everyone was. Like, well, first of all, they were having I don't know if you guys have heard of Ultra Music Festival, but it's like a huge European festival, and every year they have it at a different city. It's like a 3-day shindig. It's like the Coachella of Europe. So everyone there was like so tan, muscular, fit, dark, and beautiful. Everyone was just like a model, and I'm like, okay, you guys. But it was really nice, and the food there was so good. We only had like 6-ish hours in the city, but we feel like we made the most of it. So now we're back on the boat, and we are on our way to Athens. We're cruising now, and then all day tomorrow we will be cruising as well. Tuesday morning we'll wake up in Athens, and I'll catch up with you guys then. It's day 4 here on Rhapsody of the Seas. Got anything to say? You're just gonna sit there and look pretty? Day 5, we're in Athens, Greece. A little lost. So I'm back to give you guys a little update. That's an interesting tan line. So we just got back on the boat from Athens, which is really interesting. So usually when people get off the boat in Athens, they do the Acropolis tour, which is like the Parthenon and Pantheon and all that stuff. But actually last cruise we were on, we had been to Athens, so we didn't want to do the same exact thing that we did last time. We kind of just decided that we were gonna wing it, which turned out to be okay, but at first it was kind of a shit show. So before we got off of the ship, there were all these like representatives from different like travel agency companies that were on the cruise ship trying to sell their service to us. So we found this hop on hop off bus tour that we thought we wanted to do. This bus tour took us around like the port city where our cruise ship had docked. Like, this isn't technically Athens, but anyway, it had a line that was going down our port town, which is I think the second biggest port in Europe. So that was really cool, and there were a lot of yachts there. It dropped you off at the Acropolis where all of the like classic Athens stuff is, and then you could get on like various lines, one that took you around Athens and one that took you like to beaches. So we talked to the representative on the cruise ship, and she tells us to go off of the boat and meet some of her colleagues that are all dressed in these yellow t-shirts like she was. Basically, we get off the cruise ship and there's no one there. Like, there's nothing there at all. We walk a little bit around the port and we still can't find anything. We can't find any of the hop on hop off stops to get on to even buy the tickets. And there's like other people around us, and we got off the boat kind of late in comparison to everyone else who had scheduled excursions like earlier in the morning. In the midst of all of this, like taxi cab drivers are like yelling at us, like telling us where to go and like where not to go. We don't really know like who to trust, because they don't want you to take the bus, they want you to take their taxi, obviously. Like, I get that, but eventually we find the bus stop and we buy our tickets and we get on and everything's fine and great. So they take us around the port city, which is called Piraeus, which is really pretty. And so we finally get to the Acropolis. We decide that instead of just taking the entire bus around the city, that we're going to do like half of it on foot. A huge mistake, because the map they give us is just like a rough overview of the city. Like, it doesn't show all of the little alleyways and all of the little streets that are in Athens. We get lost within 30 seconds of getting off of the bus. We would just find ourselves in like neighborhoods with like a bunch of stray cats and like obvious locals just looking at us like, what are these people doing? So then we find our way back onto the bus and ride around Athens a little bit. We go through a bunch of stops, like meat markets, fish markets, and it's really cool. So we find this little cute deli kind of area. No! Athens, and we order like traditional gyros or heroes or however the fuck you say it. And then we took the same hop on, hop off back to the boat. Day 6. Ty, do you know where we are?
Catacomb.
Yes! I have my pina colada. So we just got back on the boat from Catacomb, Greece, which is a super cute little beach town. A lot of people were going to Olympia, which is where the first ever Olympics were held, I think. But we decided we wanted to do like a country kind of excursion. So we ended up getting off the boat and going into like the little port town. And there we actually bought train tickets. It wasn't like train tickets, but it was like little trolley tickets. It was kind of like a hop on, hop off style, kind of like our bus was in Athens. It took us to two places. It took us to a local winery and it took us to a local beach as well. So we ended up just skipping the winery. Imagine one of those things that like goes through the mall with children on, like that's what I was on. Anyway, we go through the town in this little trolley. We come to this beach where this hotel is, and it's so pretty. Like the water is, I love how you can see 3 of me. Like there's one there, there's one there. Actually, there's 4 of me. And we get to the beach and it's so pretty. Like the water legit looks like crystal clear. The beach doesn't charge anything to come to it. Like in other words, it doesn't charge you for like the chairs and the umbrella service, but like it's kind of expected. I feel like this is kind of scandalous for my YouTube channel. But it's like kind of understood that if you sit down and like take a chair that you're gonna like order something off the menu. So came around and they were like, oh, like what are you getting? The guy was like, oh, like maybe a beer. Like the waiter was like, oh, like maybe you should get a beer or something like that. So my brother was like, okay, like that's fine. Like they can just have the beer, whatever. Like you can bring one of those. But at the beginning of the day, we agreed with our waiter that we were just gonna collect all of our tabs, and like at the end we were gonna pay all of them together, so we didn't have to keep like doing transactions and signing off and like tipping and all of that. So anyway, the guy who brought us this last beer wasn't our waiter that we'd had the whole time. We were like, oh, like thanks for the check, like we're gonna hold on to it, we're gonna pay at the end. But he was like, no. He's like, you need to pay now. We're like, okay. So anyway, my brother gets out a 10 and pays the guy, so it was like $4.50 or something. So he gives back change. My brother just puts the change on like our little beach table with all of our shells and stuff. We go off and like swimming and stuff and go like looking for more shells, and then we come back and all of the coins from our table like that were with our shells are completely gone. So like I guess he just thought it was a tip because it was like just like loose change kind of out on our table, and there was like, it definitely wasn't a tip, like it was like 5 or 6 euros. So we were like, like it was clear that we hadn't left, like our bags were still there and like our towels were still there, and like the cash was like with our shells and stuff, and they had just like come and picked up the glass and like took all that change. So that was kind of weird. But we stayed there and just laid by the beach, and then we didn't actually have time to go back to the winery, and it was like a pebble beach, so it was all like rocks, which really sucked for all of our feet, but it was really pretty and I would love to go back there. We went back to the port town and bought a bunch of gifts, and I loved it so much. We ended up going back to the local beach, like the smaller beach that a lot of people went to, and that was really nice too. And my whole family is like obsessed with sea glass, and there was a bunch of that there, so we were all like freaking out the whole day. Also, the days I haven't been recapping have been just like days at sea where we're sailing from one destination to the other. Today is our last day at sea. We're sailing back to Athens, so we're sailing back to Venice, so we'll get into Venice tomorrow morning, and then we fly back to the United States.